Hey there, Vinny from Project Frugal. Today I'm going to talk about planning, intentionality, being intentional with whatever you're doing. So we'll go back 30 years. So 30 odd years ago, I moved up to Wellington from the South Island of New Zealand, and I was going to be a rock star, which is all well and dandy when you're in your 20s, world's your oyster. You're in control, well, so you think at least. Unfortunately, at that age, you got no money, and I didn't have a job. So, I also didn't have a plan. The only plan I really had was, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be a famous rock star. And that's all well and good, but without a plan to make it happen, it didn't happen. So, what did I have to do at that point? As things panned out, I was in the position of having no job, no car, no friends, no flatmate, no money. Yeah, things weren't ideal, so I had to come up with a plan, and I had to come up with a plan at the time pronto. Had a bit of a student loan. I don't think it was that much, but I certainly didn't have any money. Definitely no money in the bank, and ended up getting a job as a circular deliverer, which I have to say didn't pay very much at all. Literally a couple of dollars an hour if you're lucky. Anyway, I did that for 2 days. It was probably on the worst route. It was in a suburb called Kundala, which is very hilly, and there was sort of very limited roads where you could go. So, and I think you got paid on how many circulars you delivered. You know, unwanted circulars into people's mailboxes, because they're always unwanted. Anyway, cut a long story short, I advertised in a thing called the Trade and Exchange, which is a precursor to your eBays and your TradeMe's, all that sort of thing. The paper-based version of a buy, sell and exchange type magazine, where you'd sort of go on a Thursday, go and get your bargains, as it were. And I advertised for a job, and I was a Christian at this stage, just became a new Christian, and a guy said, who never actually bought this thing, he said to me, I just felt compelled to buy it this particular day, and I seen your ad, and for whatever reason, I never normally buy this, I feel compelled that I have to give you a job. And that's what he did. He gave me a job. It was a part-time job as a cleaner. So I was working in Wellington as a cleaner in commercial buildings. Pretty sure that lasted, well, it's going back a few years now. It might have been 3 weeks, it could have been 5 or 6 weeks. Didn't last that long. But what it did do is it gave me a stepping stone into having employment. So at this time I was, I think I might have been 23, 24. Around that age. Didn't have much of an employment history. Had done plenty of courses, but hadn't really worked too much at that time. Definitely didn't have any money. And I did the job, and as it panned out, I was able to get another job in a hotel on the Friday and Saturday night as a night porter. So that involved lugging bags for customers, all sorts of things, customer service skills, delivering newspapers, cooking some food, some basic food like toasted sandwiches, things like that for customers, guests in the middle of the night, setting up conference rooms. And that 5 weeks later, that led into a full-time job. So even though I was on the minimum wage at the time, I had a job. I had a full-time job. Still didn't really have a plan at that stage, but at least I was working, I was making some money, and I was able to move ahead. Fast forward a few years, I ended up staying at that job for 6 years. I went and studied IT because I'd always been interested in computing, pretty much since I was a kid. And I took a bit of a drastic step where I quit my job at the age of, must have been about 29 or 30 at this stage. Quit the job and went and studied for a year, studied computing. And at the end of that, despite the financial hit, ended up getting a job. I was getting paid slightly more than the previous job in hospitality that I'd left, but I had my foot in the door on a service desk or a help desk, and pretty much been doing that for the last 20 plus years in the IT field, and have slowly worked my way up through the ranks. Got to pretty much the pinnacle of where I'm going to get to, I'd say. Certainly getting paid a lot more now than I was back then. And you might have heard this story about our financial journey. Go and check out one of our videos on the FIRE journey that we've been taking for the last 10.5 years. When you don't have a plan, basically you plan to fail. And I was quite directionless for quite a long time in terms of finance and what I'm actually doing with my life. Didn't have a plan, didn't have a way of getting anywhere to get to where I wanted to get to. And where do I want to get to? Well, I just want to be financially free so I can pull back some time and I can go and do things that I enjoy, such as doing some programming, doing YouTube. I enjoy doing YouTube. Doing some music. I like writing songs, playing music. I've been done it for a while. I'm pretty rusty, to be honest, but I'd really like to do that. So essentially what I'm saying here, it took me 44 odd years to figure out what I was going to do, come up with some sort of plan, and then implement that plan. And that's what we've been doing for the last 10 to 11 years now. We've had a plan, a financial plan. We've saved as much money as we possibly can. We've got out of debt. We're now saving for our retirement, and the end is in sight. And the end is literally only from where we want to get to, maybe 4 or 5 years away, and we will be able to retire earlier. Now, if we didn't have a plan, didn't have some way of getting to where we want to go to, some sort of blueprint, some sort of idea, chucking down ideas on paper, then where would we be? Well, we would be floundering just like we have in the past, drip feeding the mortgage, paying the bills, but not really being in control of anything, maybe having some money in the bank and maybe not. And now what's happened is we've actually got money in the bank, we've actually got money in investments, we've got no debt, and we can see the road ahead. And every week that I get paid, I put, it's roughly about 2/3 of the income after tax that pretty much goes on to investments. And that's quite a substantial amount when you're doing it. We're talking, maybe 65% of our after tax income goes on investments. I don't miss the money, to be honest. I know where it's going. We can literally live on the smell of an oily rag. It costs us $500 a week just for our core expenses. Anything over and above that, straight into investments, growing us money, earning passive income over time. And even if we're getting 4% on that passive income, chucking the money into pretty much the New Zealand stock market, some into the US 500, top 500 US stocks, 4%, that's pretty modest. We're getting paid for doing nothing instead of us having to pay the bank for the mortgage, or possibly pay the bank for the credit card debt that we've incurred, which we don't have, by the way. Planning. That's what it's really about. So come up with a plan for yourself, write it down on paper. What do you want to achieve? Maybe have a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal, maybe even a 20-year goal. Where do you want to get to? What sort of job do you want to have? What sort of income do you want to have? If you're in debt, how much debt do you want to get rid of by those time frames? Once you write it down, it becomes a whole lot easier just to spend a bit of time thinking about what you're actually wanting to do, and then making a plan to get where you want to get to. Maybe you have to eat less, maybe you have to build up a sweat, go and do something proactive and constructive, and over time you'll get there. It's the same with finances. When you're in debt and you want to get out of debt, if you make steps towards it, you can come up with a plan. But as long as you make steps towards that and you achieve little baby steps every time, it's called taking small bites out of the elephant. The elephant might seem enormous, but each little bite makes the elephant get a little bit smaller week after week, month after month, and year after year, until one day you're having the last bite of the elephant and it's all gone. So yeah, take some action. See what you want to do, what you want to achieve, write it down on a bit of paper, come up with some steps and some ideas of how you can actually break it down into what steps you need to achieve whatever the goal is that you want to get to. So as I said before, my goal was to have financial freedom so I can basically get some time back to do whatever I want to do. And what do I want to do? Well, I want to do things that I enjoy doing. That's one of the things. I want to get more active, get outside more, get some vitamin D, get a bit healthier, and enjoy life. That's pretty much it. I don't have a high list of things. I don't want to buy a jet aircraft. I don't want to scale Mount Everest. Don't really care if I go travelling or not. A little bit of travel will be okay. But I'm just happy doing my own thing, really. Just doing things, creative things that I enjoy doing. So make a plan, take some steps, and just do it. Hope you got some value out of this video. Give us a like, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and we'll catch you later. See ya.